What's going on, DU fam? Here for a quick draft strategy session. This is covering a Superflex tiered PPR tight end premium Dynasty startup. This is a 12-team draft. I'm drafting from the 103, and there's a third round reversal. So a lot going on here. Pretty unique draft. It's an Empire League as well, so definitely some strategy differences going on. But what we're here to really cover is the strategy from the 103 spot, from the turn. Really, you could be drafting at the 101, 102, 103. Doesn't really matter. But the whole idea here is drafting from the turn. I did a recent draft review from the 111, so this is the opposite end of the draft. There's obviously some differences there, and I think that there's some unique things that you can do, and I want to discuss the way that I approached it. So let's dive right in. Drafting from the back end of the draft, the 111, 112 spot, typically you're going to be at the mercy of your league mates. And when it's not the round reversal, it's even more challenging to get a tight end running back that you are really comfortable with in that third round, right? And I did a recent draft from the 111 spot with no third round reversal, and you can kind of see that there. I think this draft is kind of unique in that it kind of flips that around and allows you to do some different things. So at the 103, I started with Lamar Jackson, right? Easy pick there. I think just with the new offense, I think with the upside, young enough, rushing upside, all that good stuff, it's an easy pick, 103. Puka Nacua at 210. Felt like that was a good pick there value-wise. A.J. Brown, much older. Nacua really coming into his own after a historic season with Matt Stafford. I think that he's primed for a few really, really great years. So those two picks, not much really to discuss there, but I thought that, after this third round reversal where you have to wait a few picks, it presented a bit of a challenge in that, Bijan Robinson goes before me, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs are all going to be before my next pick. And I kind of expected that. Obviously, you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to get one of my, top dynasty running backs, the tier 1 running back in terms of like a rebuilder team. But I do think, if you look at our Dynasty Underdog rankings, you'll find JT is still a tier 1 running back in terms of contender rankings. And I do view him that way. And I thought, given this strategy, given it's an Empire League, given you want to win and you don't really want to play that productive struggle game as much as possible, I really wanted to lock up my tight end 1, and I wanted to find a way to implement my zero hero running back strategy, but still get a tier 1 running back while doing that, right? I think that's one of the key cogs in that zero hero running back strategy is either get one elite one and move on or just move on, right? And for me, I felt like there was still opportunity to snag one of those tier 1s. So in terms of looking at this draft, I thought to myself, well, people are a little lower on JT, right? So coming around to the 310, I could have taken JT, but I thought to myself, I'm going to try to just fade him right here. Christian McCaffrey's still on the board, fade him to my next pick, and still secure an elite running back in the 4th round. So what I've been able to do here is I get Lamar Jackson, Puka Nacua, I think 2 elite assets in Dynasty. Then I'm able to add a Mark Andrews to that, get the stack with Lamar Jackson, my tight end 1 in Dynasty at the 310, and then loop back around and get Jonathan Taylor at the 4-3. So I didn't really have to jump up and reach for a Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe make a trade up or something like that to force, my tier 1 running back asset in this kind of build, in this kind of draft. So for me, this was a really great way to start this draft. So now I've basically begun my draft with 4 elite assets. At least that's how I view them, right? And then, this draft is ongoing, so I'm obviously not going to go through the full thing, but I will discuss the subsequent picks really quick here. In terms of Jared Goff, in the other draft review I did from the 111, I was able to get Tua, I think, in the 4th round. And I'm highlighting that because I thought that it was really good value to get Goff at the end of the 5th round, right? Like I would have liked to do something like that in that other draft, but I knew that that wouldn't be available to me. So picking from the 103 offered, some different opportunities. And I think Jared Goff as my second quarterback is a really, really stable asset there. So I'm really comfortable with that. Coming back around, I didn't intend to get the super stack, but Zay Flowers does feel like the best asset, even over, I think it's the 108 there is what Jake Elliott represents, the kicker. So, I think Zay Flowers is the wide receiver 1 there. Obviously, Mark Andrews is the tight end 1 and the real target hog on the team. But I do think Zay Flowers will offer plenty of weekly upside. And I think he is in a more secure role than a guy like Jordan Addison, offers some youth compared to Deebo Samuel and a Stephon Diggs who could fall off a cliff soon, right? So those are the kind of thought processes that I'm going through. George Kittle at 710. I've been a sucker for George Kittle in like the late 7th, early 8th round. I think he's just really good value there. I potentially, if I redid this, I potentially would go Mike Evans. And this is, of course, now with the news of Mike Evans being back with the Bucks for another 2 years on a massive deal. But I do think that I may have felt better about testing the waters with a Mike Evans, seeing if Kittle came back around. That said, I do feel comfortable with Amari Cooper, a year younger than Evans, the wide receiver one on his team. Obviously, not everybody's confident in Watson, but I think it'll be okay. So I like what I'm doing there. Then I come back around and I get an early 2nd round pick and I get Russell Wilson. If you listen to any of my content, you know that I'm a big Russell Wilson fan. And I think that he's primed for a bounce back season. I don't think that he was the problem in Denver necessarily. So this is kind of my approach here. I really wanted to talk more about the turn at my 3rd, 4th round pick. I think that there's some really unique things you can do there in terms of getting elite assets, securing elite assets that are also going to provide some longevity, not just fall off a cliff like Christian McCaffrey or something like that though. So that's all I wanted to cover today. Without maneuvering around the board, I thought that I was able to take some really good value that fell to me here at the 103 at the turn in this 3rd round reversal draft, just being patient, watching the board and taking that value, be a value hawk. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning into the channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more. Peace out.